Good evening from Sweden, and welcome to today's video, which is about how to stay centered on our path. The reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because that I think that the most common thing that we experience when we walk the so-called path the path of life is that we feel that we lose our center and we lose what we truly and deeply know is the right choices for us in how to think and also at times how to act, simply because that we feel that we lose our center. Somehow um, we get affected by the surroundings, and when we get affected by our surroundings we feel that they trigger things in us that makes us somehow be less in control of what we truly know that we want. And in the moment, we can feel that we want something else just because the so called um, whatever situation it may be seems in that moment like almost you can say a quick fix for satisfying what we feel for the moment. It can be, for example, some would call it temptation, that we fall from temptation, and the temptation can have many faces. It can have the face of that we eat a thing that we know is not good for us. It can have the face of that we say yes to a commitment that we know is not good for us. It can even be that we say no to something that we deep inside know is something that we want to do, but we don't do it because of fear. It can be that whatever it may be, a temptation is not what we may be thinking of when we hear temptation, when we think of that is about um, lust or whatever. A temptation is something where we stand in the choice of choosing what is right and wrong, and still the ego has a grip on us because we haven't yet done the right thing for as long as it's required for us to truly change. So we still feel a so-called drawing and attraction to what we know is not good for us. So the whole game of spirituality is overcoming that, and to um, overcome ourselves over and over and over again in whatever area that arises during the day, so that we in the end win ourselves. And that means that when we win ourselves we feel that we are close to God, and that is what we want to be close to God. And we do that by overcoming ourselves every time we feel a so-called temptation. And to stay centered on the path of life um, is almost, you can say, an art, because it truly is about being in life and be a part of life, but not participating in life mentally and spiritually in the way of the worldly world. So you are one of everything. You are just as an employer as everybody else, or an employee as everybody else. You are a member of the family as everybody else. You are part of the friend circle as everybody else. But you don't fall short, and you don't choose to think and feel from the perspective of the worldly world, because you think about the world from a spiritual perspective. That means that you don't fall short when it comes to uh, talking about somebody behind their back, because you know from a spiritual point of view that all are one, and what you give to others you receive yourself. It means that we participate in the world in the sense that people can be judgmental around us, and they can have opinions, but instead of participating in their judgments and their so-called opinions, we choose to see through it and look to the human, the true human and the spirit, so we don't irritate ourselves and lose our own sense of peace by going into their world, but we stay in our world by looking through the human world and into the truth, which is spirit. This sounds completely weird, I know, but if you really, really, really listen to the words, it does make sense. It's just the spirituality can at times be hard to explain because it is actually not a language of the words, it is a language of the heart and of the spirit, and it's only something, in order to understand it, we have to experience it, we have to apply it, we have to live it. And as long as we haven't done that, it just sounds weird. So it's okay if you think this sounds weird, because it does before we have our own experience of it. Um, but I think that living in the world from a spiritual point of view, choosing a spiritual point of view over and over and over again, that is the key to inner freedom. At least that is the experience that I have. If I don't have a spiritual point of view, I can tell you that, then I don't, life is not a nice place to be in. You know, it is full, and it is very hard to not fall short for all the darkness in the world, in the way that you see everywhere, you know, and it is hard to not be affected by it. But with spirituality, we can be in the world and at the same time see love and light where it's not to the physical eyes, because we see behind the symptoms of what it means to not act according to the higher truth, you know. And it is not about spirituality, it's not about that we are naive and we don't see things as they are. We see clearly. It is about that we see through all our illusions also. We know when we're selfish, we know when we are driven by our ego and so forth. It is not about that we bypass anything, but it is about when we have seen through for everything for what it is, and we come to the ultimate truth, which is the truth of love. From, you know, behind every destructive or dark emotion or feeling, what I experienced in my own life was that it was just a vulnerable little girl wanting to be loved and approved of. You know, if I wasn't feeling good in any way, it could be, let's say, if I was experiencing envy or uh, I can't come up with anything, but I've had tons of emotions, envy or jealousy or fear in any sort, or um, um, you know, judging of anything, judgmental, whatever it may be. It was just like behind everything was just a longing for being loved and approved of, and feeling that I wasn't good enough. So it was somehow projected onto others and the outside circumstances, but really, when I looked at the core, it was all about me, all about my own inner state. And when we can start to see it within ourselves, we can start to see that in the world too, what state it actually is in and where we can help the most. Yeah. Okay, that was what I was having on my heart today. I hope you got something from this, and I wish you a beautiful evening.